Certainly, the Diddy trial has a lot of people in the entertainment industry scared to death, because as more things continue to come out about the things that happened with Diddy, with the people Diddy knows, with his friends, with his acquaintances, with his business partners, it looks more and more nefarious and more degenerate and disgusting every single thing that comes.
Guys, we need to talk about Shawn Diddy Combs. His situation just went from bad to disastrous. The music mogul's legal troubles just escalated as his attorney quit the case. Think about that, his own lawyer walked away.
One of the lawyers representing Shawn Diddy Combs in his trafficking case is quitting. Anthony Rico filed notice in Manhattan federal court.
An attorney representing Shawn Diddy Combs in the trafficking case announced that he is stepping down as counsel.
One of Diddy's lawyers just quit. Not just any lawyer, but the same guy who once defended one of Bin Laden's closest associates. Let that sink in. This attorney has tackled some of history's most notorious cases, yet even he wants no part of Diddy's mess. When the very people who make a living defending the indefensible walk away, you know it's over.
The lawyer might have found out that their client's crimes were much, much worse than they expected. Like so bad that they just can't morally stick with the case and they gotta go. That might be the reason, because as far as we know, you and I, Diddy's crimes are terrible, but his lawyers know much more than what we know. They know how far Diddy might have went. So Anthony, Diddy's lawyer who left, might have seen something he didn't want to see and said, look, I can't even work with bro anymore.
Now, this particular defense attorney's reason for quitting wasn't really a reason at all, making his departure a lot more...
So, what's really happening behind the scenes? Why did this attorney walk away, and more importantly, what does it mean for Diddy's case moving forward? Let's break it all down. And if you think this is just speculation, think again. Stephen A. Smith just confirmed what we've all been suspecting. This isn't just about a lawyer quitting. It's about the entire narrative around Diddy crumbling in real time.
Rico, who was retained by Combs in September, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Combs has 5 other attorneys on his team, end quote. Let me say this. Anytime an attorney backs out, that's not a good look. And there could be a variety of reasons as to why this happened. We all get that. I understand that. But anytime an attorney backs out, particularly of a high-profile case like this, is not a good look. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Because if you are an attorney, the more acclaim your client has, the more popularity your client has, the more recognition and notoriety your client has, the more you benefit from a positive outcome in favor of that client. So that client, if Shawn Diddy Combs gets off trafficking and racketeering charges and the jury finds him not guilty months from now, and he's able to walk out the courtroom a free man, you know how good that makes those attorneys look? Everybody will be clamoring for the cameras. Every single one of them. They'll be going crazy. They'll all be clamoring for the cameras. So I'm saying all of that to you to say, if that's the case, let's understand what we're talking about here, okay? It's very, very important that we do that. An attorney walking away, sometimes it's because they don't get the lead chair or one of the lead chairs. Sometimes it's because a client is lying. Sometimes it's because they believe wholeheartedly that the client is going to be guilty and they don't want to be associated with that guilt because that's a loss on their record. It could be a variety of things, but the fact that we are speculating about that when the trial date hasn't even started yet concerns me, because I'm one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, who firmly believes it's virtually impossible to find a jury that's not contaminated by some kind of information that's been put out to the public before a trial begins. I'm not one of those that believes that. May 5th is May 5th. I mean, come on now. That's more than 2 months away. Jury ain't been selected yet. You trying to tell me nobody that's on the jury will have heard that a lawyer backed out of the case? I don't know about y'all, but I find that that's not a good thing for Shawn Diddy Combs, for something like that to happen. That's not a good thing. What's good is if you fire the dude. But if the dude fires you as a client, even if you got 5 other lawyers, and that was the first dude you went to when you retained the services in September, That's not a good look.
When a case like this goes public, the jury isn't just influenced by what happens in court. They're already absorbing everything the media has put out long before the trial begins. And right now, the picture being painted of Diddy is nothing short of career-ending. What's worse, the attorney's reason for quitting doesn't even seem legit.
The court filing on Friday said he's leaving the case. In the filing, Anthony Rico said, quote, "For the reasons set forth below, this motion for withdrawals is filed so that Shawn Combs may move forward with his defense and to commence jury selection and trial without any delay. As a result of discussion with lead counsel Mark Agnifilo, this motion for withdrawal of counsel is filed. While I am aware that the local rule requires an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted, there are sufficient reasons related to protections afforded by the attorney-client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal as counsel in this case. Although I have provided Shawn Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Shawn Combs," end quote. Now, essentially in legalese, I quit, but I can't go into details because of attorney-client privilege.
Legal experts say Diddy's own defense strategy is making things worse. He's doubling down on claims of racial persecution while also implying that Cassie was asking for it. Two extremely risky positions that are nearly impossible to sell in court.
Significant because Anthony Rico was someone that Shawn Combs was clearly comfortable with. He also grew up in Harlem, and he would often sit next to Shawn Combs, kind of keep him calm during court proceedings. And here Rico is now very experienced litigator, represented death row inmates, represented Al-Qaeda defendants, represented cops in the killing of Sean Bell here in New York, an experienced lawyer who now says, for reasons really unknown, that he can no longer represent Shawn Combs.
But we do have ethical obligations as to why we'd have to back out of representing someone. For example, I can defend someone if you commit a crime, but I can't help you further a crime. I can't put forward a legal argument that I know is insufficient or illegal. And so there's certain barriers as to why an attorney must back out, would feel to back out, and why a judge would agree with that if they feel that their own obligations to that client aren't being met. There's also, if they feel like the legal advice that they're giving them is appropriate and the client is not taking it and it's going to lead them down a wrong path, there are multiple different ethical reasons that may not be the reason here, but it's a broad list as to why someone would do that.
And Diddy put forth two arguments recently. One, that he's the victim of a racist prosecution, and the other is that Cassie Ventura was asking for it. And those are tough defense arguments to make in front of a jury. Maybe Anthony Rico didn't want to be part of those.
To make things even worse for Diddy, President Trump has hinted at releasing the names on Epstein's infamous list. If that happens, it could be catastrophic for Diddy's already crumbling case. The moment those names go public, he's essentially guilty in the court of public opinion. No PR team on earth could contain that kind of narrative explosion.
Very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger too, because, you know, it endangers certain people, etc., etc. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to release the Epstein list. President Trump is the only person that actually fought on behalf of the victims against Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach when he actually caught a case. Jeffrey Epstein was put in prison and was found guilty, much like Diddy is about to be found guilty, and he's currently in prison for similar crime.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any more shocking, listen to what Trump's former Department of Defense Chief of Staff, Kash Patel, just revealed about their potential declassification plans.
The American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all these things, and they are terrifying.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately...
That's right. Just like Epstein's infamous list that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and Washington, there's reportedly a Diddy list that could unleash absolute chaos if made public. And speaking of explosive revelations, Diddy's remaining legal team is making desperate behind-the-scenes moves. Sources confirm his attorneys are aggressively pushing to expose the identities of witnesses and victims, a strategy raising serious eyebrows in legal circles. They claim it's necessary for trial prep, but many see it for what it really is, a last-ditch intimidation tactic.
The defense submitted another letter, and now they're saying they want witnesses' names as well, writing, "The government has produced over 20 terabytes of information, and it is impossible to do a proper defense investigation as to the allegations in the Enterprise letter in less than 2 months without the names of the individuals, both alleged victims and potential witnesses who are listed in the Enterprise letter." Now, that Enterprise letter is very, very...
But the prosecution isn't having it. They shut down Diddy's motion with a blistering response that has legal experts talking. Given his alleged history of witness tampering, this decision was more or less expected, and it only adds to the mounting pressure against him.
Writes a response to the defendant's letter asking the court to rule on its motion for a bill of particulars originally filed on October 15, 2024. The government continues to oppose the motion, which was originally styled as a request for a bill of particulars identifying victims and has now been apparently broadened to encompass not only victim names, but also the names of a large number of potential government witnesses. The defendant provides no persuasive basis for his request, which in any event will be fully satisfied when the government provides the information on the schedule already set by the court, and the request should accordingly be denied. They go on to write, "For the reasons set forth in detail in the government's October 30th, 2024 opposition to the motion, premature identification of victims and witnesses carries significant risks in a case like this one, which involves numerous allegations of violence, coercion, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering."
Sources close to the case reveal something truly chilling. When Diddy was applying for bail, his alleged victims were reportedly terrified at the mere possibility of him walking free. The fear was palpable, showing just how deep this case really goes.
Is your client fearful if Diddy does get out?
As you know, I represent other clients, actual victims who have sued Mr. Combs, Diddy, in civil court, and all of them are very apprehensive about their safety if he were to be granted bond.
Defense have said.
So what the defense has done is they're taking an interesting tack, and I think the legal analysis is becoming fascinating. And they're saying if you look at these videos, this shows a consensual relationship. If he was. The great thing for them, for their defense about that is that's in the past. All the folks on social media and so forth are saying, well, these people are drugged, they're saying they're drugged. Don't forget, it's easy to prove before the public opinion, but when you get into an actual court, the federal government has proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And someone just getting on the stand and saying, I was drugged, the defense can ask a very simple question. Where's the drug test? Where's the proof? You're just saying it now. There's a lot that's going to happen. I understand what the defense is doing. This is consent. It is consensual. But give you all break off parties.